Hello, Dawn Moore at Allegiance Title Company, and today I want to talk about a question that was asked of me after an agent had watched my video blog and heard me speak about today's use of cash contracts to attract sellers in this day of multiple offers. In fact, the cash contract turns into third-party financing at closing. The agent was asking me, is that a valid contract? Did the other agent representing the buyer represent something that was false, and is that wrong? I had to remind the agent that our contracts need to be looked at in terms of contingencies under the contract. The fact that a buyer writes an all-cash contract and borrows the money to pay the seller at closing is irrelevant. The difference is the buyer has no contingencies if, in fact, they can't borrow the money to pay the seller at closing, and the buyer is in default at that point. If you write a contract with third-party financing, there's all sorts of contingencies for the buyer to be able to terminate the contract and get their earnest money back out. Their lack of credit approval or the lack of property approval. So, if I was a seller, clearly I would be more attracted to an all-cash offer, and I would be attracted to the no contingencies. An agent said to me what she does to avoid the question of whether they're being dishonest in financing is she writes all cash contracts but puts in special provisions. Buyer may obtain financing at closing. I thought about that for a minute, but I, as a seller, if I understood that it's irrelevant whether the buyer borrows their money or not at closing, I would want a contract with no contingencies. I'm afraid by adding that provision in special provision, and I as a seller agreeing to that special provision, I have built back in the contingencies for financing that are already under the contract. If buyer is unable to obtain financing when in special provisions it discloses to me that they may try, then I'm not so sure if they were unable to get financing that the buyer didn't have the right to walk away from the contract. As a seller, as a listing agent, I recommend that if you receive cash contracts on your property and you accept them, do not insert any special provisions stating that the buyer may seek financing. That's a better contract for the seller, and I hope this helps you in this day of multiple offers. Let Allegiance Title please be your resource. We would love to work with you, and we're here for your closings. Thank you.